Welcome to another video from the Outdoor Analyst. Today I've got a fun one for you. This one's going to be big game hunting, and I think I want to kind of call this maybe big game hunting cartridges for the average hunter. And I know I've got a couple that are going to be unaverage, but most people in this 2022 world simply can't go out and afford to buy a specialty cartridge for each and every sort of animal they want to hunt. Now, I will say there is probably a unique and fantastic specialty cartridge out there for just about anything you want to find. So therefore, this is not an inclusive or just all exhaustive list of what's out there. I'm just an average guy. I live in the Midwest. The game that I hunt the most is going to be white-tailed deer. Now, I've gone across the country, hunted out west in Texas. There's a lot of different game that I've gone after. I've taken the largest animal in the United States, in North America, actually. I've absolutely stomped it with one of the cartridges on right in front of you. So I just want to kind of just go over, I think I'm going to start off with pretty much anything from, well, I guess what we call maybe medium game up, and some of the cartridges that I would choose, what I do choose, and the fact that the reality is that most people can hunt the vast majority of anything in the United States and in North America. Sorry, I guess I should clarify that, with pretty much one cartridge. You kind of just pick your favorite, and then you get the bullet that does what it needs to, because the vast majority of what makes a difference is going to be bullet selection. I'm not really going to go into that today. I'm just going to go into cartridges, because most people freak out and they think they need a different cartridge for every animal they're going to hunt. And the truth is that's just not really true, especially in 2022, which is what it is right now, where bullet technology is pretty incredible. There are amazing options out there. So let's just start into it. If you're shooting kind of the small deer in the world or in the North America, you really don't need a ton of horsepower. But what do I think works really best? There are a lot of different regulations for different states that you're in. A lot of people use the good old 223 or 5.56. Interchange that however you want. I think it depends on the platform that you're in. A lot of people, I think, down south in Georgia is really where it's kind of big, is just doing neck and headshots with 223 for regular deer. Granted, if they're going for white-tailed deer are very small down there in comparison to even where I'm at. They're less than half the size, really, and it's kind of surprising. In my mind, there's no way I would ever use a cartridge like this, even though it's so incredible at just doing a little bit of a do-all of everything. Predators, absolutely. Coyotes, for me, I think 223 is fantastic. Just get a heavy bullet and roll with it. But when it comes to like deer, it's kind of off the table. Even though average guy, this is probably the most popular cartridge that everybody has. I'm not a fan of it, but it's doable. Don't think it's not doable. I'm just not the biggest fan. One thing that for me, kind of on the very lowest end, these both work great. What are we talking about? This is actually a 7.62x39, and you pick your platform. It doesn't matter. It is a fantastic deer cartridge, and this is a 30-30. And why am I kind of talking about those back to back is because both of these don't have much recoil. They are great for new shooters, and they drop deer like crazy at fairly close distances. Now, you can stretch these out as far as you want. I'd say in reality, they're probably 150 yard and in, really successful cartridge. They are fantastic for deer. Are they my choice? No. Have I used them? They are both very successful. I don't have really any problems with them. I do like a little more range depending where you're at. Now, I'm in the Midwest, and from everyone I've ever talked to, the average shot they take is about 60 yards. And the longest shot from around here is around 300. That is a very, very long shot for where I'm at, just based on the terrain. And for most of the Midwest, and rather you're dealing with brush, lots of woods, heavy woods in a lot of these areas, and just the hill terrain. It's impossible in so many ways to really get longer than 300 yards for the most part. But are those my top choices? No, they're very effective. Close range, for most people, you do not need more than this in the vast majority of the Midwest. It struggles when you go into longer distances, especially out west when 100 yards, 150 yards is like a perfect stock. Like, that is very complicated to get, especially when you're looking at massive. You're not looking at fields. You're looking you're looking at valleys essentially. And you might be shooting mountain to mountain where 300 yards is just the start of what it's like. That's more along the lines of your average shot. And these don't have the horsepower. They don't have the energy to do that. And the trajectory of these things, they drop like a rock really after, in reality, I'd say 150 to 30 drops like a rock. Same thing with a, 7.62 by 3.9. Do they work for small or medium game? Yes. Would I take them for anything larger than, whitetails and mule deer at fairly close range? Not really. That's really where I would stop. I think they were very successful at that. Get a good bullet in those cartridges, and they're great. 100 yards and in especially, man, fantastic choices, but they're still not my favorite. And why do I really say that? I say that because you don't need to get a bunch of different cartridges. In reality, for the medium to, I guess you can call some whitetails large. Mule deer, you can call some of those kind of like large game. They're bordering on it. I think they're still medium. But you really just don't need all these different cartridges that are kind of even specially towards them. The next thing on the list, I'm kind of swapped these around. One of my favorite choices, and you can intermix this with a lot of different choices around it, is actually going to be this boy right here. This is a 270. I think that is one of the best all-around cartridges that you can get because it's incredibly available. Almost every rifle out there is chambered in it, and it stomps most of your 6.5s. Your 6.5 Creedmoors, this dominates in absolutely every single way. For hunting, for a hunting distance up to like 500 yards, there is nothing I don't think this actually loses out on for the Creedmoor, except maybe a hair of maybe wind deflection. 6.5 Creedmoor has this massive following. It's a great cartridge, no problem with it, but it is actually shooting basically at this 140 grains slower than a 270 with less power. It has slightly more ballistic coefficient to it, which means it's much better at long range shooting. But I'm talking about hunting, not long range distances. So when it comes to hunting, I'll take the 270 all day long over a 6.5. The only time I would ever tell anybody not to is if they are very recoil sensitive or a brand new shooter. If you're a brand new shooter, go for that 6.5. Go for the 30-30 or 7.62 by 3.9. There's almost minimal recoil that goes with it. That's the only reason in my mind not to choose the 270 for hunting. I use it because in my area I have deep woods and I have long fields. I think the 270 for me on deer, antelope, black bucks, anything like that is immaculate for 400 and in. It is a 400 yards and in. That's a long shot, and most Midwesterners we dream of that, but unless you get out of the state that you're in, you go way out west or way down south. I don't know if you really call Texas down south, New Mexico, but you got to really roll out there to actually use that cartridge to its full potential for the most part. But for me, 300 and in is really where I kind of live. And for deer, the 270 is a stomper. It's very flat. It shoots a 130 to a 150 grain out there very fast, way faster than a 6.5 Creedmoor in all those areas. And it is absolutely a stomper for those cartridges. It's a stomper of those cartridges, and it can be taken up. It goes higher in the game category than those in my mind. I think it can go all the way up to elk with 270. No problem. It's all about shot placement and bullet selection. I have no problems taking a 270 after an elk. Just if you ever read anything about Jack O'Connor, I've read all that guy's books, I think. I'm not a 270 diehard, but I know that it can take every game in North America because it has. And it has successfully, and even back then with bad bullets, essentially, or not nearly the technology that we have today. So I know it works. It can work in my mind. It's great for black bear. It's great for deer. It will take pretty much any elk within 300 yards. I kind of lower it down a little bit because it doesn't have the energy. And in my personal experience, that 300 yards is great. That's a good range for the 270 for true big game. Now, will I go after moose with it? No. Will I go after brown bear with the 270? No, because I want to have a lot more horsepower behind it. Do I think this is one of the best cartridges that you can get because it's so available and you can take almost every game in North America? Yes. Consider the 270 really good. My favorite cartridge, pretty much for all of North America, because it does most game, except for dangerous game, is going to be this little guy right here, and that is the 308. I love this cartridge because, one, you get a bigger bullet. You're shooting in the 30 calibers now over the 270. I like having that larger, just frontal diameter on there when you're hitting something. I like the bigger hole it makes and the spread that you get from it, depending on your bullet selection. It is a fantastic medium and large game stopper. There are hunters out there, professional hunters, that pretty much only use the 308 for big game because they know it's all about shot placement with a really good bullet. And they're usually shooting 300 yards and in. They'll take moose, they'll take freaking buffalo with it. They'll take just about anything with the 308. Now, why do I like the 308 better than the 30-06, and why is the 30-06 not here, even though it's probably the most popular cartridge that people go after in reality, the average guy, is because there isn't much the 308 gives up to it. It's almost the same thing, just a hair bit slower, but the platforms you can use the 308 in are all superior to the 30-06, especially in the semi-automatic era. In the semi-auto just category, and I know what's out there for the 30-06, there is nothing that can hold a candle to the 308 platforms. They are just fantastic, incredibly accurate, super fast for follow-up shots. And even in a bolt gun, I love the 308. I have never had it fail me for deer or anything, honestly. It has just been great, and it's all about shot placement. So for an all-around cartridge, I'll honestly you can stop right here. I think this is fantastic. Will I hunt brown bear with it? No. Will I hunt moose with it? In all reality, no. I will usually take a 308 over a 270 unless I know I'm going to be just in fields or just in valleys, and really long distance shots matter. I like the bigger projectiles. I can go up to 180 grains super happily and 175s with them. You can take it up to 200 or 220. That takes a specialty bolt action right there for most guns, but that is really successful, and I think it needs to be kind of known that yes, you can go pretty heavy on the bullet weights there, and I really do enjoy that. I like that capability. Will the 30-06 do everything the 308 will do, just a hair bit better as far as ballistics generally? I'd say yes, but not enough to make a difference. You get way less recoil, basically the same performance, and it opens up a plethora of platforms you can use. So 308 is one of my favorite cartridges that's out there. For hunting all the way up to moose, it does it just fine. You just need to have really good placement and using top of the line projectiles. If you're not using top of the line bullets, then you'll have issues. You absolutely will. But that's with every cartridge that's out there. That's really all that matters, is where you put it and what you are using for penetration. Because sometimes you can over penetrate, sometimes you can under penetrate. Now, that takes care of, to me, the 308 is the best, pretty much all around cartridge. It really just is. It takes almost everything. But why do I have two other bigger ones here? One, I probably made a mistake, but two, I am skipping the most popular cartridge just because the jump up from these two is really to go into the true magnums. Now, the most popular magnum out there is the 300 Win Mag. I love it. It's a fantastic round. I think for the most part, it suits the average guy in the United States or North America, probably the best of any that's out there, because it's just as available as, let's say, the 270 and the 308. It's kind of in that category of everybody carries them. There's tons of rifles chambered in it, and it does really well. why don't I have one? And why don't I use one for, in my opinion, the true big game in the North American continent? Is because I like the extra power I can get out of the 30 calibers with these other rounds. Now, this is 300 Weatherby, and this is 300 Rum, and I'm gonna put these side by side because they are so similar. Now, technically, the Rum is a wee bit, and I mean a wee bit more powerful. It has a little bit more speed behind it. They shoot the same rounds, same bullet weights all the way through and through, and pretty much have the same bullet selection. You might get a little better in the Rum, but you're only given like maybe 50 at most, like 100 feet per second at best in any given category. Why do I choose these over a 300 Win Mag? The fact is that you can get way more energy out of these than the Win Mag. The Win Mag's usually, depending on your bullet weight, doing 30 to 3,300 foot-pounds of energy. These are doing in the 4,000s, and that is a big step up. I skipped the step of the Win Mag and went straight for something that's doing 4,000 pounds of energy, because for me, my big hunts are in possibly dangerous game territory. They are. There's dangerous stuff out there, and when I go after them, I want to make sure that I can put the dangerous game down if that's what I'm going after, or I can protect myself from them with these. These are the next step up over your big 30s. These are your most powerful 30s. The 300 Weatherby was the most powerful for a while, and then the 300 Rum kind of came through and beat it out just by a hair. I have two different platforms for each one of these. One's kind of like my fair weather, one's my really bad weather. It's for the true kind of Alaskan style hunting. So that's the Rum. The Weatherby is my fair weather platform, and they both interchange almost identically to me. I love those for big game. Fair weather, this took down a buffalo this year, and it did it masterfully. I ended up with 2 shots. First one was perfect double lung. It went through and hit the ribs on the back side. It was a great side shot, and then I knew that was gonna be enough, but I just kind of wanted to speed it up, so ran shot number 2, and it went through and through. Fantastic expansion on both. So really, I just absolutely love the 300 Weatherby, and I love the 300 Rum. They're identical to me. Pick your poison. The thing that what scares a lot of people, and I'll say this, is recoil. That is the scariest thing to most people. These are who are recoil sensitive will not shoot the 300 Weatherby because they're afraid of it, and same thing with the Rum. You live in 2022. Knock that nonsense off. The fact is that most rifles now are threaded, or at least you can find one chambered in them that are. My Weatherby is not threaded, my Rum is. Now the Weatherby, yeah, it has a lot of recoil. I'm not a small guy, I'm not a huge guy either. I'm just an average dude, and I handle it just fine. On the bench, yeah, put a little extra padding on, but when you stand up, you're crouching, you're actually using shooting sticks, and you're letting your body take the recoil, it's totally doable. But nowadays, that does not matter. My Rum platform literally kicks less than any regular 270 or 308. It honestly is around a 30-30 in recoil because of the brake that's on it. That is literally the only thing you need to do. If you want to suppress them, you'll get the same recoil mitigation basically. So you can break them, you can suppress them, and you can turn your ultra magnums into basically little pussycats that do not recoil at all. And that is why I think you should choose them now in 2022, because most people do the same thing for the Win Mag. To me, I don't go out and shoot tons of rounds. I'm not target shooting with these. I'm hunting, so I don't put a crazy amount of rounds through them. Yes, they are expensive to shoot. They are very expensive, but when you don't shoot more than 20 rounds a year with them, because you're just sighting in, taking a shot before you go hunting, and that's it. And then, okay, let's say you maybe do that 5 times. Great. That's all you need. That's really all you need. You need less than that. So if you're just hunting, I honestly suggest kind of skipping the mid 30 calibers and going up to the super magnums, the full on magnums. Now you can go bigger, and I'd say for elk and moose and people in black bear, I think they like the 338 Win Mag is one of the most popular rounds. to me, I don't think you need to go up that big, but that's just my own thoughts. To me, I think you can get through with almost all hunting in North America with literally 3 rounds, and I mean that. And they're that's just 3 platforms that you need total. It's not the rum. For me, I'll choose the Weatherby just because this is sentimental and I've done so well with it. I'll choose the 308 just because anything that I can take super long distance, this is why you go up to the big Magnum calibers, is that you can really, really reach out and touch something from 500-600 yards away with incredible amounts of energy. Have I taken a black buck with 300 Weatherby? Yes. Yes, I have. And it just absolutely, I'm glad I had the wrong bullet that did not expand, because it just went straight through and dropped that thing in its tracks. It was the fastest downing I've ever seen. So for a crazy long distance, I can use the Weatherby. I can tone that thing down and shoot a lot slower with smaller bullets. 308 takes care of my medium game pretty much throughout the entire North American continent. I can take big, large game with it if I want, but I don't have to. You know, I can just make that my deer cartridge. And for predators, how can you beat the 5.56 for that? Put some 77 grain rounds in there, and now you've got a fantastic coyote stomper. Or you want to go prairie dog hunting. Great. You get a nice heavy BC bullet and smoke them. I think that's the way to go. Or if you want to go super varmint rounds, you can too. Just kind of depends on which way you want to run. But I kind of like the heaviers just because I'm generally not going for pelts. That's really it in a nutshell for me. I think you can get away with 3. If you really do not like recoil, you're not going to break anything or suppress it, change the Weatherby out for a 300 Win Mag. Go a little smaller. You can still take the big game and you'll be fine. Or you go up to the rum there. Go for the big stomper. I love that. It is fantastically fast, and it's pretty cool when you hit something with 4,000 pounds of energy. It just drops them like a rock. Granted, if you hit them in the correct location, that matters more than anything. You're not going to get any saving. You're not going to be saved by the fact that you're using a bigger gun with a bigger bullet. You won't. Shot placement is everything. And if you're in the wrong spot, it does not matter. Your elk will run off, and it will laugh at you when it is still running off, sadly. And you'll feel horrible for injuring an animal and not taking care of it. I think that is the worst thing you can do. So that's why I like kind of going up in calibers if I can. I want to hit it with the biggest thing that is comfortable to me and that I feel good with. Are there a million other rounds? Okay, maybe 1,000 rounds out there, cartridges and calibers and stuff that you can use? Yes, there really are. And this is so incredibly subjective. It really is. There's going to be people that they're going to pull out the PRCs, they're going to pull out the Acklys, and they're going to have really specific reasons why it works well. And it does work well. The fact is, you change the bullets on these and you change the powder a little bit, you can hunt just about absolutely everything. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is you don't need 20 different calibers. You really don't. Don't try to convince yourself that you do. Just get really good with a few, honestly, and stock up. I mean, shoot, it's 2022. You've been through the ammo crisis. Who knows if it'll ever get better. It may get way worse. There's a lot of things going on. So just pick a few that will really work. Don't fret about missing out. Don't have that FOMO that you don't have the latest and greatest cartridge by any means. I don't think that matters. Get the 3 most popular. So take out my picks, take out the Weatherby, take out the rum, make that a 300 Win Mag, and now you have the 3 most popular cartridges that are probably going to be around for the very long haul. And you can take care of pretty much everything in North America and be super, super comfy with it and not have any worries. So that's really it. That's kind of my big game thought, medium game thought. I know I do a lot of deer hunting and try to get out and do the true big game hunting at least every few years and fill the freezer. And boy, my freezer is so full right now. So are my parents. And the best part of having a buffalo is just being able to give away some of the best meat possible. Someone's in a hard time. There's nothing better than, giving them 20, 30 pounds of the most scrumptious meat they're going to have throughout the year. That's a really cool thing, which is why I love hunting, is because it fills freezers, and you can only fill yours, you can fill other people's, and be a really big just kind of gift and help to them too. So especially now when food's becoming absolutely outrageous thanks to inflation in the United States, there's nothing better than hunting, man. It is so cool. I don't care who you are. If you really like super healthy meat and you want to know what it is, and you can go after things, you know exactly what it's been eaten, you know exactly what it is, and get the leanest, latest, and greatest meat without it being irradiated. Oh, what a win. What an absolute win. So there it is. That's my rant. Big game hunting. That's kind of like what I think for the average guy. These are my 3 favorites. I'm just going to lay it out there. I love the 5.56, the 308, and the 300 Weatherby. Those give me the fizz. They make me excited. I am so pumped for hunting season. It's just absolutely great. So have a great time. Enjoy your pewing. Can I say that on YouTube without getting demonetized? I've probably already said something that'll hose this video. I'm not even monetized, so haha, how about that? This will probably hose me in the future. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. I'll catch you on the next one, and y'all be good. Like, subscribe. I would really appreciate that. It helps the channel grow. It helps us out. So have a good one, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.